Right, so I'm going to show how to replace the screen on this iPhone 6s Plus. Alright, so first thing we're going to need is a pentalobe 0.8 or P2 screwdriver. Okay. If you want, you can remove the SIM card, but you don't need to remove the SIM card. Make sure to turn off your phone if it's not already off. I turned this off. If you can't turn it off, then you can skip that step. You'll just have to be a little bit extra careful. Alright, so we're going to use the pentalobe P2 or 0.8 screwdriver and remove the two screws on the bottom here. Okay, you want to keep the screws in order because they are going to be all different size, shape, and lengths. Alright, if you mix them up, you can damage your phone. Alright, so I like to use a thin pry tool like this. You can use a suction cup if you want, but usually the glass is broken too much, so that makes it very difficult. So I like to use this thin pry tool here. Okay, I get the pry tool in between the metal part and then the plastic frame. So get in between there, and then you just kind of pry it up a little, and then you slide the pry tool around. You don't want to stick the pry tool too far in from the bottom, because if you do, you can actually cut some components there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and slide the pry tool all around the sides, just like this. Okay, then we're going to go around to the other side and do the same thing. Okay, just go ahead and continue going around. Alright, same thing, you want to kind of cut just barely on the edge of here. On these sides, there's actually a frame that prevents you from pushing the tool too far. So when you go along the side, you can actually push the tool as far as it goes, and it will actually hit the frame and stop it from going further. Okay, now I don't know why this side doesn't want to come up. Let's go ahead and go from the side here. Normally I go from the top or the bottom, but there we go, I have to. Right, so let's go ahead and go along here. Right, and then same thing, you just slide the tool up along the edge of the phone. Okay, just like this, and this is cutting through the adhesive there. Alright, once you get that, you can kind of twist the tool here, as you can see, and we pop the edge up. Right, we're going to do the same thing over here, get over there, and then kind of twist the tool to pop the edge out, just like this. Okay, and we're going to slowly work our way up the top of the screen. Here you can see the adhesive that's holding it in place. We don't really need the adhesive, so we can throw that away. Alright, let's get that out of the way. And then you're going to want to slowly lift the screen up because there is adhesive there. Alright, now we're going to switch to a pH0 or JIS0 screwdriver. And then we're going to open it up. If you don't have like good quality screwdrivers, you might have to use a pH00 or JIS00. But right now the pH0 is working, so here you go, just like this. We'll remove these two screws. Okay, again, keep the screws in order. They are different size, shape, and lengths. So we remove the two screws from here. Let me actually zoom in to make this a little bit easier to see. We're going to lift this metal plate out. Okay, just like that. And normally it shouldn't lift up any cables, but it somehow pulled up this wireless antenna, so I'm going to have to push the wireless antenna back down. Alright, get that lined up, and then click that. Oops, sorry, I got that lined up and click that back into place. People keep bugging me about my fingernails, but they are useful. Here you can see this connector here. Normally you'd use like some plastic pry tool or something, but I just get my fingernail in this gap here, and then I use that and pop the battery out just like that. So here you go, the battery's disconnected. After you disconnect the battery, you want to press and hold the power button for 10 to 15 seconds. This will drain any power that's still in the battery to prevent risk of damaging the phone when you go ahead and remove all the screen cables and everything. Okay, alright, so just hold this. Okay, now let's go ahead and open this up. Now we're going to remove the screen cable bracket up here. So there's 5 screws holding that in place. Again, keep all the screws in order. Okay, and let's go ahead and remove those 5 screws. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, we got all those 5 screws out. Now we're going to lift the metal plate out. Just get underneath and lift it out. Okay, set that aside. Then we're going to go ahead and pop up all these connectors. I just go underneath with my fingernails. Again, you can use plastic pry tools, but just get under there and then pop the connector up. Oops. Just like this. There we go. Got that one. Get this thin one over here. Pop that up. All right, same thing. And then the one that's underneath here as well, we're going to pop this connector out as well. I know it's hard to see, but there's a connector there. Pop that one up. All right. So now that we got all of those connectors out, we can go ahead and pull the screen off. Again, there's some adhesive there. You can actually just peel that all off and throw it away. If the adhesive under here is kind of rough and stuff, you will want to actually peel it off. If it's pretty flat, you can actually leave it there. But yeah, if it's like rough, you actually want to peel it out. So this looks kind of okay. This part down here looks a little rough, so I'm going to peel that up. Okay. Just peel that up. Kind of have to scrape it out and then peel it off. Okay. The reason you break that stuff out is because you don't want lumps under the screen, because it will cause uneven pressure and then you can actually damage your phone. So you can see the connectors under here. Let's go ahead and work on the screen. We're going to have to transfer a bunch of pieces over. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the replacement screen out. So the replacement screen, it comes like this, okay? So just like that, we're going to peel off this red piece here. So I just get underneath there and then I just lift this up and peel this out. Let me actually zoom out a bit so you can see this better. Okay, there's actually a piece of tape holding this down as well, so you're going to want to peel that off as well. All right, you want to be careful with this. It can be a little bit risky. Normally they put like a tab to make this easier to peel off, but for some reason they didn't do that on this one, so you kind of have to work at it. Okay, and then peel it up. Make sure you hold this part down so that you don't tear the cable. Okay, I want to be very careful there. This might help for me to use these little pliers. Let's try this. Okay, and peel this off. Alright, just like that. There we go. So we got that cable out. Or sorry, not the cable, that piece of tape. Okay, let's go ahead and peel the red piece out. Just like that. Put that aside. Okay, we're going to leave this screen protector part on for now. We're going to take it out later. And then let's go ahead and remove all the plates and stuff from here. So we're going to use the PH0 screwdriver to get all these pieces off. Right, 2 screws holding down the fingerprint sensor here. So let's get those 2 screws out. Okay, once you get those 2 screws, get the metal plate out. Set that aside. The fingerprint sensor here, it might help to use some heat to get it out, but let me show you here. Okay, so you got the connector here. It's sandwiched down. You want to get underneath and then pop that out just like that. Hopefully you were able to see that. And then to get this piece out, I usually will use a needle. But if you can't get it out with the needle, you might have to heat it up a little bit. So right now here you can see there's a little gap. Normally it's held down completely with the adhesive, but because there's a gap, I could easily get the needle underneath and lift it out. Right? You want to be careful not to tear this cable. If you tear this cable, you're going to lose the fingerprint function forever. I believe even if you change the fingerprint sensor, you're going to lose the fingerprint function. You'll only get the button. Right? So we just peeled that out. I'm going to set that aside. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and remove the sensors from the top here. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove the 3 screws holding this metal plate in place as well. Again, keep all the screws in order. Okay. All right, and the last screw here. Okay, now that we got those 3 screws out, we're going to lift this metal plate off and set that aside as well. Right, we're going to lift the camera sensor up and out of the way. Okay, and then we're going to be careful not to touch the lens of the camera. We're going to lift the speaker assembly underneath out. Okay, just get that out of the way and then get the speaker out. So this is the speaker. I'm going to set that aside. Be careful, that speaker has a magnet in it. If you get it too close to the screws, it will pull the screws away. All right. So this piece is a little bit tricky to remove. A lot of times it's going to require heat. Let's see if we can actually remove it. I have this needle that I bent the tip with pliers so that I can kind of use it to get underneath here. So I like to use that to lift the sensors out here up on the edge. Again, if it's stuck, we might have to use heat. So let's see here. You want to be gentle. If you pull too hard, you can actually end up breaking something. So be careful. Okay. Just gently work your way, going around all the sides. And there we go. It came up. So here you can see the sensors came out. Hopefully I got everything in camera. It's a little bit difficult. And then you got the microphone that's here held down with an adhesive. So this tends to be a little difficult to remove. I just get the needle, I get the needle down here between the microphone and this rubber piece here, right? And I'll go underneath and then I will lift up from there. So let's get the needle in. Okay. And go in between. Hopefully you can actually see what I'm doing, and lift the microphone up there. All right, so there we go. The microphone came out. Again, if you can't get it out, you can apply some heat to it using like a hair dryer or a small heater or something, and you can peel it off that way. So here you can see there's the adhesive that was holding it. All right, so we got that out. So now what we're gonna do next okay, is remove all the screws from the side frame. Let me zoom out here. Okay, and then we're going to transfer this frame over. So I'm going to remove the 3 screws from each side, right? And we're going to transfer these over with the metal bracket to the new screen. So get that out, this one out, and this last one out. All right, then we're going to get the 3 from the other side. All right, just like that. 1, 2, and 3. All right, and the last screw down here. Okay, now that we got all those screws out, we're going to go ahead and lift the metal bracket up. Oh, actually, there's one more screw up here I forgot to remove. Make sure you remove that one as well. Okay, it goes in sideways here, so it's a little tricky to remove. But yeah, okay, don't forget to remove that one. There we go. Now that we got all the screws out, we're gonna lift this metal plate up. So just find wherever you can get underneath the metal plate and lift it out. Just like this, okay? And then we're gonna transfer this metal plate. We're done with this broken screen. Set that aside, okay? Replacement one, get the metal plate on top. Let's zoom out a bit more. Okay, so get the metal plate on top. All right, it always helps to loosely fit the screws first and then tighten them after you get everything in place. So let's go ahead and get the screw on the top here in first. Trying to hold this in a position that makes it easier for you guys to see. It makes it a little bit awkward for me to work on, but all right, let's go ahead and get this screw in. Okay. This screw in. Get this screw in. Okay, flip it over, do the other side. Get this screw in. Get this screw. And the last one. Okay, just like that. Now that we got all the screws, we can go ahead and tighten them down all the way. You don't want to pinch this too hard, because if you squeeze the screen too hard, you can actually crack the LCD. Okay. Let's go ahead and do this side. And don't forget the last screw up on that corner there. Make sure you're holding that metal plate so it stays down. Okay. Now we're going to put the camera sensors back in. This can be a little bit difficult to get the little sensors back into those little squares, so just keep that in mind. You don't have to rush it. All right, let's go ahead and get this blue tab off. This is covering the adhesive. Okay, so just get that out. All right, now we're going to go ahead and stick the camera sensors back in place. First thing you want to do is stick the microphone sensor here in first. So it has a little hole at the top that aligns with the little plastic part here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this in camera, but we'll see. All right, so get the microphone lined up first. And there we go. All right, once you got that lined up, then you can go ahead and let this down. And then you're going to want to get these little sensors all lined back up. Okay, so go underneath here and just try and line up all these little sensors here. Okay, once you get those sensors lined up, you're going to have to get the speaker. All right, make sure you keep those sensors down. Get the speaker in there. Get the part of the speaker that sticks out lined up. You'll know it's lined up because if you try and move it around, it stays in place. Okay, here we go. Then we'll drop the camera over. Oops, it's twisting all over the place. Let's get the speaker back lined in. It's hard to do this while in camera. Normally I wouldn't hold it so far away from myself, but then my head would block the view, so let's go ahead and get that in. Okay, come on. So what I'm talking about, oh actually let me clean this real quick. So that's the speaker part that sticks out. I'm going to just use a toothbrush and clean it off a little bit. Okay, because usually this speaker ends up getting covered with dust and makes it hard to hear. So let's get these sensors back down. Okay, and then we'll get the speaker lined in again. Okay, while you got that lined up, oops, get this lined up. And these, of course, these little gold pins on the back need to line up. Okay, let's get this metal plate back on top. Get everything lined up. You should have the little plastic bits poke through those little holes. All right, and then we'll get the screws and tighten everything up. So when I put the screws in, I loosely fit them first. I don't tighten them all the way down, all right, until I got all the screws in place. That way I make sure everything is lined up properly. Okay, and there we go. So you got those two, you can let go. Then we'll get the last screw here. Okay, and tighten that down. Okay, that's good. Let's tighten down the other two. You want to be careful that your screwdriver doesn't skip out of the screw too much, because if it happens, you can strip the screw and then you won't be able to put that back anymore. Okay, so you want to check, make sure everything looks good. So if you look in here, oops, sorry, you can actually see the springs are touching here. All right, I don't know why it's a little bit like more flexing on the left side, so let me see if I can get this screw a little bit tighter. Okay, here we go. So the springs there should press it against the pads, and then that should be good. Okay, so let's go ahead and now put in the fingerprint sensor. Let's zoom out a little bit to make it a little bit easier. Okay, so the fingerprint sensor, to do this, I like to actually push the screen protector out a little bit. That way I can drop this in, and then I can reach from both sides and pinch it with my fingers to get it lined up. Okay, once you get it lined up, you can go ahead and put the screen protector back on top. Make sure you get the little raised plastic bit over there sticking up. Okay, when you go to plug this in, let me zoom in. Okay, so this cable, you want to push it into place. So it's usually up, sticking up like this. It shouldn't be like that. You have to actually push this cable to where it goes behind that raised plastic piece. So just like this, see if I can get it to stay there to show you. This one's being a little difficult, so oops. I think I have a customer here right now, actually. Give me a second, I'll be back. I got a customer. All right, sorry about that. I had a customer come in. All right, so normally this piece here should be able to bend to go completely into this groove. I don't know why it's not going in there right now. Let me use this, where did I put that plastic pick tool? There we go. So I'm gonna use this plastic tool and try and like force it more into the crevice here. And there we go. Hopefully I should now be able to push that down. There we go, just like that. Yeah, it doesn't want to go in right for some reason. So instead I'm gonna lift this part slightly, and then let's see if I can get that in. So again, this connector, it's supposed to be pulled back and then go behind this little white raised line there. So I don't know why it doesn't want to go in all the way. I think the connector might be not lined up right. So yeah, that's weird. It should stay in that groove there. Hopefully this screen will work okay, because I don't have another white one. There we go. Okay, so I was able to, this is how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to tuck the cable completely flat against the screen there, and then you can go ahead and flip this from the fingerprint sensor over and click that down into place. There we go. Everything is nice and lined up. Let's go ahead and put the metal plate back on. I don't know why it was so difficult on this one. Normally it's not that hard. Usually I just use my fingernail, but I had to use this flat tool to do it this time. All right, so let's go ahead and put back the screws for the fingerprint sensor. Okay, again, I loosely fit the screws first just to make sure it goes into place. Okay, get the second screw here, and then we'll go ahead and tighten them down. All right, you'll want to check, make sure the fingerprint is lined up right, like that. Clicks OK. Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead and reconnect everything to the phone. So you want to do this side first. You don't want to do the battery. Make sure the battery's still disconnected down here, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and reconnect all these cables here. So let's go ahead and get the sideways one over here first. It's pretty tricky. You want to make sure that you get it in and that it's lined up right before you try and press it down. Okay, keep that in mind. You don't want to try and force it down if it's not lined up right. Let me turn it sideways, might make it easier. Okay, and the way you kind of make sure it's lined up right is if you kind of move your finger over the top, you'll feel it actually like falls into the slot kind of. But again, it is a little bit tricky. Okay, feels like it's in, but sometimes it's not actually. Let me see here. Okay, make sure to get it lined up. Come on. There we go. So you'll feel that like when it's lined up, it doesn't move around much. Okay, like right now, if I move my finger, it's staying in place. Then you can go ahead and push it down. Okay, and the last one. Go in place there. There we go. All right, everything's lined up. Next, we're going to go ahead and clip the battery back in, and then we're gonna, let's zoom out, we're gonna test it, make sure the phone turns on, because if it doesn't turn on, then you kind of don't want to put all the screws back in. So here you go, screen is on, so we should be good to go. Make sure this little tab from there isn't getting tucked underneath. But that should be it. You're going to want to test the camera, make a call, test the lights sensor by making a call and then covering this. The screen should turn off. All right, make sure the home button works. There you can see it's showing this. So if I push, let's make sure it's working. Delete, delete's working. Okay, home button worked. If I type random stuff and then delete, you can check all the numbers to make sure kind of that the screen is all working all across. Looks good. Okay, so if I'm on this number page, then if I press this, nothing happens. So let's go ahead and delete this and go out. So it's on this, all right, and then I press the home button and it goes back to this. So we should be good. All right, the customer has their SIM card. I don't have it. I have no way to call them because I have their phone. So we're just gonna hopefully assume everything is good. Let's go ahead and get this metal plate and put that back. You want to be careful now because the battery is connected, so the circuit is live. Okay, so you want to be careful not to drop anything conductive over shorting anything out. All right, so it helps to have either someone helping you or a magnetic screwdriver. So that way I put the screw on the screwdriver like this. Then we're going to get the bottom screw in here first. Okay, and you're going to loosely fit it. Okay, then I usually put the screen down while I kind of go ahead and get another screw. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and get the other bottom screw here, and then we'll tighten that. Now that you got 2 screws in at the bottom, you can go ahead and tighten them into place. Okay, let's go ahead and get the rest of the screws in. Okay, get this middle screw in. There we go. Be careful not to pull the screen too far back because you don't want to break those cables, right? And lift this up again, get that screw in. Okay, other screw. All right, get the last screw into place. There we go, tighten that in. All right, now we're gonna put the bracket for the battery connector back on. These older models are nice because they all use the same screwdriver. You don't have to keep switching back and forth other than the bottom screws. So it's kind of nice. On the new iPhones, they start using all these different tri-wing and other stuff. It's kind of annoying. Anyways, okay, let's go ahead and get the last screws in. And then to put the screen back together, you want to make sure to get the top in here first. So make sure tilt it at the angle, like open it up like this. Get it in at an angle up there, okay? And then we're gonna slowly work our way over to the sides here, okay? Make sure everything is lined up. Uh-oh, camera overheated. Sorry about that, my camera on my phone overheated. I forgot I left it charging again. But anyways, get this all lined up. Okay, next thing you wanna do is you wanna actually get the bottom lined up first, okay? Make sure all of these little pieces, the clips, sometimes they get caught on the side, so you wanna make sure that lines up. Right, once you get the bottom lined up, the reason you want to do that is because you want the center to bow outwards, so that way when you push this in, that it will cause the screen to flatten and push out. If you flatten this side first, the screen will be extending out a little bit too far and it'll be hard to push this side down. All right, let's go ahead and switch back to the, what did I do with that screwdriver? What? My screwdrivers are missing. Oh, here we go. All right, switch back to the Pentalobe 0.8 or P2 screwdriver and put back those 2 bottom screws. Right, other than that, we're good to go. So hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like and subscribe. Share my channel with others. If it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider throwing a little my way. I know this kind of repair probably didn't really save you too much money, but it'd be greatly appreciated. Even like a little bit, like few cents or something, everything helps out. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, bye. Let's drop this.